Hello, BookTube. I thought I'd make a video and inform you of what your March reading is going to be, in case any of you are still laboring under the illusion that you have any free will in the matter. March is a very busy month. You won't have any time for the fripperies you ordinarily read. The biggest event, of course, will be March Mystery Madness. Can you believe we've come around again to another year of March Mystery Madness? If you remember last year, I helped to host it with a whole bunch of other great booktubers, and we're going to be doing it again this year. Encouraging all of you to read a ton of mysteries in March of all different kinds. Once again, all the stops have been pulled out, so there are all sorts of events and sprints and whatnot. And the announcement videos go up soon. I'll be making a video separately just about that. But that's March. That's all of March. That's March Mystery Madness, in which, I want to encourage you to read a genre that I think we all love. But then, in addition to that, there's also an extra event on this channel, a new thing that I'm going to be doing in March. It's called the Ides of Marchathon, and it is going to concentrate on Roman literature. So in the month of March, each week in the month of March, we're going to do we're going to read together a work of Roman literature. We're going to start off in the first week with a little doff of the hat to the title of the event with Julius Caesar. We're going to do the Civil War. And then the following week, second week in March, we're going to move on to Livy. And the volume that we will do, these are just the Penguin Classics. Whatever you download, you just have to keep in mind, we're going to do the early history of Rome. So his first 5 books, the first 5 chapters, segments, whatever you want to call it, of his larger work. We're going to do those. So the second week in March will be Livy, the very beginning of Livy's enormous lifelong work. And then the third week of March, we're going to do Bad Cicero. the Roman politician and orator Cicero was also one of Rome's most prolific authors. And there's Bad Cicero and there's Good Cicero. And the third week in March, we're going to do Bad Cicero. We're going to do Cicero doing cod philosophy. In this case, on the good life. You can probably, a little forewarning now, it's a long way down the line, you can probably expect the return of the Harold Bloom voice for this. And then the final week of March, the last week of the Ides of Marchathon, we're going to do Good Cicero. In this case, the enormous volume of his letters to Atticus, his friend Atticus. We're going to read those, and we're going to talk about them throughout the month of March. So that is the Ides of Marchathon. So we're going to do March Mystery Madness and the Ides of Marchathon. However, there's one other read-along that we're going to do in March. I had a read-along, the normal read-along that we do for this channel. The Ides of Marchathon is extra. I had a normal readathon planned for March. And I'm changing that plan because I have suddenly realized, as I have been sort of informally canvassing quite a few of you, the same unthinkable note has been struck over and over again. And I realize that rather than sit on the sidelines and simply complain about that note, I must do something about it myself. So I am going to change the book that I was going to do a read-along for in March to a different book. A much, much, much shorter book, but with a similar title. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, in March, we are all, and I mean all, because this is going to be, it's not often that I exercise this particular authority invested in me by BookTube, but in this case I am invoking that authority. This is an emergency mandatory read-along. So all of you watching this must do this read-along. It's not like you can look at it and say, well, that interests me or that doesn't. No, you must do this read-along in March. And this is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. We're going to read Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen in March. Now, if you haven't read this, and there are an enormous, absolutely scarifying number of you who have not, well, then you will be correcting that in wonderful company in March. And if you have read this, I don't want to hear it. Okay? That's not how a mandatory read-along works. If you have read Pride and Prejudice, and you want to say, well, I've already read it. I read it last year. I read it 5 years ago. I read it in high school back in 1870. What I'd like you to do, instead of saying that at this point, is to zip it. We are all going to read Pride and Prejudice in March. So the first week in March, in addition to Julius Caesar and in addition to a ton of mystery novels, you are also going to read the first 15 chapters of Pride and Prejudice. The only way that I'm going to stop that note from happening, grown people who have the nerve to look at themselves in the mirror and show their faces in public, and yet who can say the simple sentence, I have not read Pride and Prejudice. The only way that I can fix that problem is to tackle it directly. So that's what we're going to do. All of BookTube is going to read Pride and Prejudice in March. So there you go. That is your March reading. You might be able to squeeze in a little of the erotica here or there that you would otherwise fill the month with, but mainly your time is mine. So it's going to be March Mystery Madness. There are going to be all sorts of prompts and themes. But keep in mind, in this read-along, as in any other venerable BookTube read-along, the goal is just to push you to read a certain thing, not to make you jump through hoops. So we want to throw an emphasis on mystery reading for March. Because you know, with the possible exception of Sean the Book Maniac, you know that every time you've read a mystery, you've enjoyed it. So you want to do more of that in March. That's thing number one. Thing number two is the Ides of Marchathon, where we are going to read some fundamental Roman classics. The tip of the iceberg, we're going to be doing the Ides of Marchathon for many years. But we're going to start with those three authors and 4 works. And in March, we are also going to correct a deficit by reading Pride and Prejudice. Okay, 15 chapters a week until it's done. And we'll be talking about them every Sunday. And who knows, I may be showing up at your homes just to make sure you're doing the reading. And there you go. So you can book your reading for the month of March. Just haul out your bullet journals and your calendars, wipe out everything you already had written in there, and put down everything I want you to read. Thank you, BookTube.